Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have been digging around in the rubbish bin today and I am DIYing some of my rubbish. So things from the recycling that you would probably just throw away, I decided to turn into things that I could use around the house. I've got some shoe boxes, I've got some glass jars, I've got some little plastic tubs, anything that I could, I kind of was like, I could reuse that and turn that into something. So really cheap DIYs. And if you have things already in your kit, so if you already have some, paint from previous projects, string, contact paper, these DIYs are pretty much free to make because you're just going to reuse bits you have in your kit. So whether you have some scraps of things, just reuse them and get creative. Well, let's get into the DIYs. Also, if you're new to my channel, hit the sub button so you don't miss me now. Don't get lost on YouTube and you don't not find me again. Anyway, let's get into it. Here's the first DIY. For my first DIY, I am transforming some cylindrical containers. So I'm using some contact paper for this DIY. So I'm using the Pringles tub and a little Vanish washing powder tub. I had some of this marble contact paper left over from a DIY that I did last year where I used it for a tray top table thing I made. So I'm literally just measuring it out and then I'm cutting it to size. On the back of the contact paper, there is little lines, so it makes it easier for you to cut it out straight. The contact paper can be a little bit fiddly to get it started, and with a little bit of practice, my first one I had some bubbles, but when I done the other tub I was able to get it smooth. So just be patient with this, and then I also just use a sharp knife to take off the excess at the bottom. I'm just using a gold Sharpie type marker to add a little bit of gold detail because I love marble and gold or marble and copper. You can skip this, but I just wanted to add a little bit of detail to this. On my DIYs, I am transforming some boxes. So this is a gift box saved from Christmas, and I also painted a shoe box. Basically, all I did was I painted the boxes. I used my sponge roller, and I actually used, you might recognize this paint. This is the paint that I used to paint my cabinet. I will link to that video here. This is actually a satin wood paint. So it's not really designed for painting boxes, but it actually worked a treat. It's a satin paint, so it dried with a sheen to it, so I didn't need to cure it. Don't worry, you don't have this paint. You can just use, an acrylic paint or a kid's craft shop paint. Just use anything you have in your kit for this. So I am just using my trusty glue gun to apply these label tags to the box. These just make them they just add a bit of detail and they're going to look really cute in my office. I'm going to use these boxes for storing receipts and just odd sewing bits as well. this DIY has to be my favourite one because it's just so simple. I am repotting some of my succulents that I proudly grew myself from cuttings, and I'm just using the jar to paint them up a new home. If you are like me and you struggle to get the labels off, what helped me the most was popping it into the sink with some warm soapy water. I just used some fairy washing up liquid and I got all that sticky, grimy label off. I am just taping off the top because I'm only painting a section of this. Ideally, don't use brown tape, but I ran out of frog tape. Frog tape is best, but I didn't have any left, so I had to improvise with a little bit of brown tape. So I'm using chalk paint to paint the glass. Chalk paint will stick to glass. It's probably one of the better paints to stick to glass. I didn't prime. I just went straight in and I done 2 coats of chalk paint. I'm also just using a 2 Fussy Blokes roller, which I got sent in the post, and it was actually really good and it got it really smooth. Painting glass can be quite hard. You get a lot of brush strokes, so I do recommend using the roller. Nothing gives me more satisfaction than peeling off the tape on paint projects. It just gives me odd satisfaction. So I'm just applying some soil that I already had to my jar. You can get special succulent soil. It all depends on what you're planting. If you don't have succulent soil, don't worry. Just mix some stones throughout it so you have some good drainage. I was able to grow my succulent from a cutting that I already had from another succulent on the windowsill. It took a good few months for it to actually get to that size, probably about 6 months, maybe because it's been winter in Ireland. And all I did was I just took off the old soil from the roots and placed it into the new jar. Once I had it in its new home, I popped in some stones and then I gave it a good drink of water so it could get settled in its new home. I decided to add some twine just to give it a little bit of detail. You could get so creative with this. Maybe you have some washi tape or you want to add some like gold to this or ribbon. So you can add anything to give it a little bit of detail. DIYs. I think my favourite has to be the jar for the succulent because I keep meaning to repot the succulents. So anytime one of the little leaves comes off, the echeveria I think they're called, I won't throw them out because I know they're going to turn into a plant. So I pop them in little pots on the windowsill, but then they get too big and I have to like repot them. And I have a couple that need a new home and I keep meaning to repot them. So I think my favourite has to be the glass jar. I do also like the office storage one because I'm terrible when it comes to organising my receipts and they end up in piles everywhere. So definitely going to be using the upcycled shoebox for my receipts. I am loving upcycling rubbish because now when I'm looking at my recycle bin or even in work, I'm like, what can I use that for? So I am thinking a bit differently and I definitely will do more DIY my rubbish videos. Have a few ideas. I just need to ask everybody in work to give me their jars and toilet roll holders and things like that. Do tag me over on Instagram if you plan on giving this a shot, or comment below, or if you've made any like, you know, YouTube videos where you've recycled things. I would love to see. I'm really interested in, you know, plastic DIYs because obviously we have an issue right now with plastic in the oceans, everywhere. Plastic is just everywhere. So if you have any ideas for some plastic DIYs that, you know, you can use around the house or in the garden. I'd love to hear that as well. So that's it for this week. Give this video a cheeky thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye everyone.